like a Star Chamber.
Okay, back here with Psyko Audio, Jason here, BCC Hardware. He's got a question regarding the stereo quality.
Well, I guess we're just going to go over how this, like 5.1 gaming, it'll be great, you know, with directional audio, but how does this translate into two-channel audio, such as music, the MP3, and even movies and stuff like that?
Right. There's a big difference between, again, these headphones and stereo headphones when it comes to stereo content or two-channel content. Again, the content of music is meant to be played in a room. So you have one speaker on your left, one speaker on your right, and again, you have a perception of where the sound is coming from. When you put headphones on, you lose that directionality. Again, you know, if the music is playing guitar in the right side and the drum in the left side, you know, you feel that it's out there. Put the headphones on, you get the guitar only in one ear, and the drum only in the other ear. So you know, we've actually been trained because we're so used to it. We hardly notice that difference anymore. But you put these headphones on and play music, and you say, like I could listen to this we've had many people say, I could just listen to this forever because it just feels right. It feels natural now. So this, you know, it's more subtle difference between this and stereo headphones than the gaming experience. Because gaming, you really want to know where that gunshot's coming from. Your life and death, it's not a life and death issue to know where the guitar is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But you do, there's this sort of innate sense that is more natural when you're listening to music.
Okay. Now, like you were talking about before, with the audio is channeled, you know, from the front, then the back audio channels as well. Now, the bass is coming from where exactly?
That's right. Here's one of the keys is that, you know, when you're setting up a room system with 5.1, that 0.1 is the subwoofer channel, and you can put the sub anywhere in the room. And it's very important where you put the 5 channels because you're very sensitive to the directional sound. The subwoofer is such a low frequency that we can't actually easily perceive where that sound is coming from. So you can put it anywhere in the room. What we've done is we put it right by your ear. So we've got, in a way, this is really a 5.2 headphone because each ear has its own subwoofer. Mm-hmm. And you have a separate control in the amplifier for master volume and for the sub control.
Okay. And this, again, this is just a headphone amplifier. Is there any digital signal processing or anything that happens in there?
No DSP, no processing of the signal at all. The only purpose for it is to boost the signal up and to give you the separate control. So you've got separate boost, separate bass, and the other channels.
And you mentioned earlier off camera about why you would want to adjust bass down in a game. I know a lot of people, they really like to have that bass thumping and feel the explosions, but what is the benefit to actually turn that down?
Well, if you turn the bass down, you actually have a better perception of where the gunshots are. The sounds that you're most sensitive to directionality are roughly what you can say as a voice, you know, from a low voice to a high voice. So those are the sounds that are more sensitive, and that's not what the subwoofer is delivering. The subwoofer is delivering the booms, and having the subwoofer turned up a lot actually interferes with your sense of directional sounds. So if you want to know where that footstep is coming from, you don't want to have a lot of boom going on at the same time. It masks it. Right. So you want to specialize. If you're really concerned about your game performance, you want to turn the bass down. You know, if you want the visceral experience, you want to turn the bass up and have the, you know, the explosions almost thumping on your chest.
Right.
But for performance, you want to turn it down.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. You're marketing these towards, you know, mainly towards gamers, you know, with the price tag. I mean, they're not going to be in everybody's budget. And it's really interesting how hardcore gamers have a completely different, you know, set of rules they play by. You know, we have different sound requirements. And also I know a lot of gamers who actually turn down the resolution on their games so that everything appears bigger. And I do that in Call of Duty, and it allows you to, you know, see far. It's, again, it's not the whole immersive, visceral experience, but it's ways we can kind of cheat and not cheat. Just to, you know, it's our edge.
Right. You're focusing on performance.
Right. Exactly. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of a demo. Of course, with Quick, you won't be able to get much of a experience of the audio, but we're actually going to take a listen to some game performance here, and James is going to walk us through some of what's going on, and also we're going to maybe listen to some audio as well, and just to see how that performs. So we've got another set here. And explain the whole setup here, if you would.
Okay. We've got a laptop playing Call of Duty, and we've got an X-Fi external USB sound card. So that is our source for 5.1.
Okay. That
plugs directly into our amplifier box and from the amp to the headphones.
Okay.
And so do you want to sit down and...
Well, you just go ahead here, or we can let Jason sit down. Yeah.
So we've set up the scene where there's a machine gunner in the wall, and we intentionally put this here so there's a constant, constant sound source. And so it's just, it's in the first few seconds I can spin the character around, and you can just hear that sound source moving around you. And then you'll hear a bunch of other guys running up and shooting, and then kind of pandemonium. And so if you don't mind, I'll just kind of run you through sort of a track that gets you the most experience within about 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, no. Wireless over the left. That's just tradition.
I didn't include that.
How's the volume?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Okay, so you can control your master volume here and your bass volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jay, just give us a little bit of a thought here.
Get his facial expression.
Just give us a little bit of a thought on what's going on with audio and how it maybe is different than just stereo.
Can't hear what you're saying.
It's a little hard when you have them on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, especially when you're spinning around, like not when there was a one gunner and we were walking beside him, and as you were going by, you could feel it totally shifting, like from when we were walking into it, you could hear it ahead of you, and then as you're going by, it pans to the back there.
And at the same time, you can kind of hear it in both ears, even when it's to your one side.
Oh, yeah.
Gives you more realistic experience.
Well, exactly. It's like what you're saying is, it helps you like shooting from this way, like from a different angle, not just left or right. And right. Yeah. I'm not sure what else to.
Okay.
What else really?
And when all the guys were running around and shooting, you could tell where everybody else is.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of one of those things you almost have to. Yeah, you almost have to try. Like it's hard to explain. Put words on it because I mean it's. Trying to explain it to the camera, it's kind of tough. It's one of these things you really have to try to really experience it more than anything else. So.
Now I'll put you on the spot, Jay. We took a listen to these at CES in a ridiculously noisy environment, and we both admitted that we weren't that impressed with them in that environment. How do they compare here when it's more of a gaming environment?
Well, I mean, I think the clarity is a lot better. Like I mean, especially on the show floor, there's hundreds of people walking around us, and it was definitely loud. It would be like trying to listen to your MP3 player in a food court. It doesn't matter how great of headphones you have, you're getting background noise and everything. And I think definitely when in a quieter room, you definitely hear a lot more. I guess like clarity, and it definitely sounded. It sounded better to me this time than when we did listen to it the first time in Vegas. There, right? Like that it was kind of
we had
the worst that we could possibly have.
We had a rock band in the next movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But yeah, like even there, I mean, you could definitely tell it was very like you could hear like the direction, like when someone was coming at you or shooting at you, you could hear it going past you. But definitely in a little quieter room, it definitely just makes it a lot more clear, a lot more crisp and everything. Right.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. We may be back with a little bit more from Psyko Audio, but thanks for watching, and we'll be back.